Hi, my name is Kristen Manyak. My quality improvement project focused on the dissemination of an interdepartmental mental health crisis educational plan at San Diego State University. Mental health is defined by the World Health Organization as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. Mental health concerns occur when mental illnesses affect a person's state of being. When an NCAA student athlete is faced with a mental illness, appropriate care must be taken to return the athlete to their homeostatic mental health for the betterment of their athletic performance, the safety of the athlete, and the overall well-being of the athlete as a whole. The prevalence of mental health concerns among collegiate athletes is approximately 14% in Division I athletes. Mental health includes a variety of disorders. Specifically, Yang et al. Indicated that the prevalence of depression among collegiate Division I athletes is 21%, representing that 1 in 5 collegiate athletes suffer from symptoms of depression. The daily stressors student athletes are faced with signify the importance for awareness of mental health and wellness within athletics departments for the ultimate reduction of mental health disorders. With this awareness also comes the importance of the properly managing mental health issues as to not lead to further negative consequences than just poor performance, such as poor health outcomes or even suicide. Collectively, this identifies that as the providers of the healthcare of our student athletes, we must establish thorough guidelines for the care and treatment of mental health in collegiate athletes because providers will be faced with student athletes with these concerns. So the NCAA developed a consensus statement in 2016 titled Mental Health Best Practices, Inter-Association Consensus Document, Best Practices for Understanding and Supporting Student-Athlete Mental Wellness, which was developed with the intention of guiding institutions and the recommendations of the care of student-athletes' mental wellness through the teamwork of different institutional members and healthcare providers. These NCAA guidelines for creating a proper care plan in the prevention and treatment of mental health issues within athletics departments, including using a multidisciplinary care team, written institutional procedures for emergent and non-emergent situations, pre-participation mental health screening, and reducing the negative stigma of mental health to allow for the student athletes to continue to properly function both physically and psychologically. Although these recommendations are the suggested best practices for the care and treatment of mental health of collegiate athletes, not all institutions have a plan in place or utilize all the suggested guidelines. In a study assessing if colleges associated with the NCAA had a written policy in place to identify mental health concerns, only 39% indicated they did, but those that did, a wide variability of practice exists. This includes the current system of review. The institution of interest is San Diego State University, a Division I athletics institution that is part of the NCAA. The environment in which the Quality Improvement Initiative took place was within the athletics department. The department has 17 sports and about 600 student athletes. The athletics department has a staff of about 150, and this was the population of focus of this Quality Improvement Initiative. Recently, the Quality Improvement Team was created within the department, being formally titled as the Mental Health Task Force. They began with exploring the creation of mental health policies and practices in the athletics department at San Diego State University, or SDSU, and developed a written emergency policy and procedure to manage mental health situations for their student athletes. Therefore, the next steps of the Quality Improvement Initiative are to disseminate this information to the athletics department staff and educate them on the available resources and management of student athletes in emergent mental health crises according to the policy, all while promoting efforts to reduce the negative stigma of mental health issues within the athletics department. Which leads us to the SMART aim of this project being to provide education and training to at least 80% of athletics department staff during fall of 2018 and subsequently increase the staff's preparedness for managing student athletes in a mental health crisis. The first step of the PDSA cycle is for the Mental Health Task Force to plan. Plan by creating the emergent mental health policy and procedure and determine how and what information should be disseminated. Here on this slide is the departmental emergent mental health crisis educational flowchart that was created by the Quality Improvement Team, our mental health task force. The dissemination of this plan is one of the emphases of the educational training. The second step of the PDSA cycle is for the Mental Health Task Force to do the meeting which occurred in July and September of 2018. This consisted of an hour-long live presentation complemented with PowerPoint slides. The staff received a handout to follow along during the presentation and had handout resources to take home that supported key points from the training. Following the presentation, the staff received an electronic survey from Google Forms, which is what you see on your screen, to complete regarding the presentation content and their comfort with managing mental health conditions. The Quality Improvement Team evaluated the data from the electronic survey as the next step of the PDSA cycle study to determine if the presentation better prepared athletic staff to manage student athletes in emergency mental health situations. Data from participants were also used to determine how many athletic staff members were educated and if the education reached the intended populations, i.e. a goal of 80% of athletic staff. The survey also provided an opportunity for the staff to comment on future directions of mental health education within the athletics department, and these responses will be reviewed in the future to assist in planning next steps of the mental health task force. A total of 151 people were targeted for the intervention within the San Diego State University Athletics Department. Out of the targeted staff, 130 people attended the mental health training, which is 86.1%. However, of the attendees, only 51% completed the post-educational survey. Results are demonstrated in the next few slides. As demonstrated on this graph, following the training, the majority, or 80.3% of the department, felt that they were more prepared to address a student athlete's mental health concern, as indicated by a response of 4 out of 5, or 57.6%, or 5 out of 5, 22.7%, on the Likert scale for the question about preparedness, overall demonstrating that 80.3% of the department felt more prepared to address a student athlete's mental health concern following the training. After receiving the departmental revised mental health crisis flowchart at the educational training, 98.5% of participants responded that the provided flowchart would help them to determine what to do if a student athlete was in a mental health crisis. One respondent, 1.5%, answered that the flowchart was confusing. After the educational training session, 100% of survey respondents stated that they knew who they would contact if concerned about a student athlete's mental health. Thus, the SMART aim was successfully accomplished through delivery of 2 educational training sessions, one in the summer and one in the fall of 2018, with strong encouragement by administration to attend, with results demonstrating an improved preparedness to manage mental health situations to ultimately increase the quality of care provided to these patients. The attendance of 87% of athletic staff at these trainings exceeded the target of 80%. In an effort to reach those who could not attend a live training session, a video of the training was sent to them, with instructions to watch the video and complete the post-educational survey. All 21 staff members from this group viewed the video and completed the survey, as it was mandatory to be in compliance with the athletic director's direction on educating the staff. These data were kept separate and not used in the results from the PDSA cycle ran as part of the Quality Improvement Project. A success that was formed through the process and was not initially an aim of this improvement project is that this mental health training video will now be able to be used as a part of the onboarding of new staff members. Inclusion as a component of onboarding allows for all staff members to be properly educated on the management of mental health crises of student athletes and informed on the mental health policies of the department. This initiative also created an opportunity for the connection between the athletics department and student health services, counseling, and psych services staff to work together to complete a common goal, providing the best mental health care and support for students. This interconnection will hopefully continue and allow for future collaborative opportunities. The connection between staff members to collectively create and disseminate a policy and procedure to improve the healthcare of student athletes using a task force was overall a successful format that the department intends to spread to future policy and procedure efforts. However, this project did not come together without challenges. Although these results identify success with educating and preparing the SDSU athletics department staff on the proper management of student athletes in a mental health crisis, the post-educational response rate of 51% is admittedly low. In the future, it will be more effective to have the survey completed at the time of the training. Another challenge encountered was the scheduling of the educational trainings. The task force attempted to schedule the trainings to be conscientious of as many sports as possible, specifically starting with football, as they are the largest staff, but with as many differing schedules, there was still conflict. Having the ability to use the department's videographer to film the training was very beneficial in making sure that all staff members were able to receive the education even if attendance in person was not possible. However, because this strategy was not part of the actual PDSA cycle, these survey results were not used in the final discussed results. Still, when looked at separately, they demonstrate the results from the 66. They demonstrate the same results from the 66 survey participants who attended the in-person training. The Mental Health Task Force plans to now work on the next quality gap of mental health care within the department regarding the mental health care of student athletes, following the suggestions made by the open-ended survey question answered by the staff and the NCAA best practices. Specifically, it was suggested that what is now lacking is how to care for and support student athletes once they have been identified to have and are being treated for mental health concern. Thank you for taking the time to follow along my quality improvement initiative on increasing mental health crisis education. I would also like to thank Allison Vallier for all of her guidance and being an amazing advisor, Lisa and Dr. Aretsky for being my fellow presenters, and Jenny Bramer and JD, SDSU's Athletic Department Athletic Directors, for their support. Here's a list of my references used within these slides. Feel free to contact me for a full list of references or any questions you have.